Call our meeting back to order. And we're now to the point in our agenda where we're talking about the minutes. Minutes of the previous meeting, the February 24th meeting is next. Everyone, I hope, had a chance to read it. I entertain a motion. Any corrections or?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion to move and a second. Any discussion? We got a couple of procedural, grammatical corrections we're going to make, but otherwise, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, likewise. Minutes pass. Financial status report, Ms. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look in your agenda today, you'll find the documents there instead of on your dais. Beginning on page 38, there's the county expenses and appropriations report ending February 28, 2022. Smyth County ended the month with a bank balance of $19,307,021.41. That's down about $186,000 from February of last year. On the left side of the page is the appropriations. Again, after those appropriations, the ending balance is still the same there with $19,307,021. If you flip to the next page, or if you go to page 39, sorry, in your agenda, there is the Smyth County Water and Sewer and the uncollected county taxes as of the end of February. The ending balance of uncollected water and sewer is $2,570,894.79. Further down the page on uncollected county taxes, year 2001 to 2020, there's an uncollected balance as $2,795,470.01, and the uncollected county taxes for 2021 is $1,669,144.57.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question quickly, or reiterate something I asked before?
Yes.
I still don't care about what happened 20 years ago, and it makes our reports look off, so can we reiterate the fact that I'd really just like to know what's relevant to right now?
Yeah, and the good news is we've had the deposits on the water and sewer, the deposits are more than the expenses.
Right.
As a highlight.
Which is what I'd like to see, but 2003 was quite a long time ago, and I think it's time to move past that.
And I did compare that balance again. I understand your point. That balance is we're $215,000 better than we were this time last year on the uncollected county water and sewer. But yeah, we'll bring that up.
Thank you.
Then if you go to your agenda starting on page 40 for the revenue summary through the end of February, it begins on page 40. If you flip over to page 45, you'll have the total for all funds. The current revenue collected through the end of February is $7,439,003.83, with a year-to-date of $67,579,742.78, leaving a remaining balance of $34,191,894.22. Continuing on through your agenda there on page 46 through page 50 reflects the expenditures, again by fund. The totals are on page 50. The current amount expended is $7,554,691.34. Year to date is $56,615,087.41, leaving a balance to the budget of $45,156,549.59. The next page, pages 51 through 55, lists the treasurer's accountability report, the assets and the liabilities for the treasurer's office for the county. And that's all I have.
Okay, anyone have any questions from Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, we'll move on to our payment of invoices and accounts payable. Everybody get a chance to look through those, and everyone get a chance to look through those, have any questions or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion to second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, likewise. Citizens' time. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
No problem.
Ashley Tolliver, would you please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please?
I also have some handouts for you. My name is Ashley Tolliver and I live in Chilhowie, Virginia. First, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to take a few minutes to respond to Mr. Palmer's letter to the board in regard to his proposal of putting a truck stop on his land in Smyth County. I know Mr. Palmer wrote a letter to the board and I've taken time to read the letter and I would like to point a few things out. First, the evidence Mr. Palmer provided for his proof of permits he has obtained is inaccurate and incomplete. If you notice, the information given to you all came from FEMA, which is completely unrelated to the protected wetlands that we talked about last time in the meeting. If you notice, the information in the FEMA paperwork only mentions the floodplain, not the wetlands, which is a completely separate issue. FEMA handles any dealings with the floodplain maps. They control where flood lines are placed and what is to be considered in or out of the floodplain. The issue here isn't the floodplain. The issue is the tract of land proposed to be turned into a truck stop is on a protected wetland. If you look at a copy of the map I provided you, you will note a 5.71 acre freshwater emergent wetland. Protected wetlands areas are not controlled by FEMA. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers monitors wetlands and provides permits. Section 404 of the Clean Water Act, which I provided to you, establishes a program to regulate the discharge of dredged or filled material into the waters of the United States, including wetlands. Activities in the waters of the United States regulated under this program include field for development. Section 404 requires a permit before dredged or filled material may be discharged into waters of the United States unless the activity is exempt. Proposed activities are regulated through a permit review process. An individual permit is required for potentially significant impacts. Individual permits are reviewed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The exemptions are established farming, ranching, and maintenance of draining ditches, construction and maintenance of irrigation ditches, farm or stock ponds, and farm forest roads, maintenance of structures such as dams, dikes, or levees. I emailed our local representative of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Claire Trent, to see if Mr. Palmer had obtained the proper permits for the work proposed at the wetland. I have given you all a copy of the email as well. I also believe she emailed Mr. Utt, County Administrator. In her email from March 9th, she states, in part, I have contacted the County Administrator, Sean Utt, to inform him of our awareness of this proposed commercial development and that we currently have not received an application for review. For your awareness, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has jurisdiction over certain activities undertaken in waters and or wetlands regulated under Section 10 of the Rivers and Harbors Act and or Section 404 of the Clean Water Act of 1977. Any work in a jurisdictional area which is considered structure, field, dredging, or excavations under current regulations may require, I just have like a couple more lines if I could finish, may require a Department of Army permit and possibly authorization from local authorities. Detailed projects along with site-specific information is needed to determine if a proposed activity is within our jurisdiction. In addition, work in these areas will require a Virginia Water Protection Permit from DEQ and a permit from the Virginia Marine Resources Commission, as well as authorization from your local authority. I appreciate you bringing this matter to my attention, and should you see any site disturbance, which is not typical farm-relating activities, feel free to notify me immediately. Another issue I would like to note is the traffic impact. I know Mr. Palmer noted they spoke to the Abingdon Residency Office of VDOT in regard to the truck stop. At the time he spoke to them, it was only discussed what it would require to get an entry permit. No specific details were noted. After I spoke to the Abingdon Residency Office, it was noted a traffic impact study will be required before any work can be started. At this time, a traffic impact study has not been completed. I understand the need for growth, but this haphazard plan thrown together with all the proper permits and studies completed would cause significant risk to the county and environment. Mr. Palmer's statement that he has all permits and studies required is an inaccurate statement. Before anything can be done, a traffic impact study and a permit from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is required.
Rose.
Yep.
There you are. You're up next, please. Didn't recognize you with the mask.
Well, I'll take it off when I get up. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm Rose Likens, and I live at 812 Chinkapin Road here in Marion, and I'm here to give you an update on the library and what's going on over there. We are just about back to pre-pandemic participation rates in terms of people coming into the branches, our circulation numbers, and the use of our materials. As the last time I was here, I talked to you about our Wi-Fi hotspots and tablets. We started loaning those at the end of January, and they've been very popular. We've had such heartwarming stories from members of the community who have come in to say, you know, I've never been able to afford internet. I've never had internet. We had an old gentleman who came in, and he came back the next day with his best friend and said, I got mine to work, so I want you to show him how to make his work too. So it's really been a wonderful program, and we're very excited. And we encourage you all to continue to tell your friends and neighbors who need internet access that we have hotspots and the tablets available. We are working on updating our website, and we expect in April to roll out a new website that will make all of our materials much more available to people. Right now, if you Google Smyth County Public Library, you don't get my website. If you have to know my website address to find it. And so that's obviously not a great way for the public to know what we have available for them. So we've been working with the developer since early this year, and we expect to roll out that new website in April. And that is also funded by the ARPA grant from the Library of Virginia. Yeah, so we're very excited about that. April is Citizen Science Month, and so this year we will be focusing on programs relating to bees and plants. And so we'll be doing both adult and children's activities related to beekeeping. And in Chilhowie, we're going to start a seed library. We will be getting some seeds to get started with, and then we'll ask people, seed libraries, I don't know if you've ever heard of these programs, but we have the packets of seeds, and people come and borrow the seeds, and then we ask them at the end of the season to bring seeds back to perpetuate the seed library. So we're going to start that program here, and it will live in Chilhowie, but it will be available to all library patrons. And we hope we're cooperating with the garden clubs and Virginia Master Naturalists, and hope to have some good heirloom seeds for plants that are indigenous to this area. Finally, we are planning for our summer reading program this year. With COVID numbers down, we're hoping to have a full summer reading program. We had one last year, but we didn't do the big public activities that bring in a lot of people. This year we are starting to schedule those larger events. So we'll do the dinosaur events and the petting zoo and all of those big events in each of the towns that we've done traditionally in the past. So we're excited to be able to get back to that. And finally, our next Board of Trustees meeting is Thursday, March 17th at 5:30 here in Marion, and everyone is welcome. Can I answer any questions for anybody while I'm here?
I do.
Yes, sir.
I'm working on another representative from Salt.
Oh, good. Okay.
I just found out like a week ago. I didn't know it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'll take that one.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's all right. I'm working on one.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one quick question, just from my own personal curiosity. Is the gather time gonna start back again soon?
In April, yes,
Okay.
we're going back.
Thank you.
Any update on the library building in Salton?
We don't expect to hear from that on that grant until June. The Appalachian Regional Commission, they said that we shouldn't expect an answer before June. So we'll let you know. You'll hear the scream of joy if we get it.
I'm excited about your seed in July. I made a comment to one of my grandkids about raising some popcorn. They said, we can't raise popcorn. I said, why can't we? They did not realize you could plant popcorn just like regular corn, and our young people have forgot how to do things.
And we're gonna concentrate on food seeds. We're gonna do some flowers, but we're really focusing on food seeds. So folks who, have room to have a garden, can.
I think it's wonderful. I really do.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, now the one, why everybody is here, old business items. Request from JWM Enterprises LLC for rezoning. A closed session's time.
All right, thank you all. So after the joint public hearing we held last month, the Planning Commission reconvened, and they first considered the two applications from JWM Enterprises, LLC. The first was to rezone a number of tracts in Adwolf from commercial to industrial, and the Planning Commission recommended unanimously to you that be approved. The second application came from JWM. If the map amendment is approved, is for a special use permit to establish a mining, quarrying, and mineral extraction business on the property. So those are the two, and again, the Planning Commission recommended unanimously that be approved as well.
Mr. McClellan here wishing to speak on the issue.
I think he would love to address you.
I don't need you unless you need me.
We always need you, come on.
His public speaking must be awesome. Anyone have any questions for Mr. McClellan? Hearing none, we have a recommendation from the Planning Commission to approve the rezoning and the map amendment.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, well, okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay, and that was both in one?
That was both in one.
All right, thank you. The third application we had that evening was an application from George Palmer for special use permit to establish a truck stop. After the public hearing, the Planning Commission again reconvened, and after discussion, they recommended unanimously that that application not be approved. Since the public hearing, I fielded a number of questions about the special use permit process and the standards that have to be met before a special use permit is approved. And so to eliminate any confusion about that, I would like to distribute a copy of those standards.
Thank you.
And I would also like to point out that I've had several conversations with Mr. Sony in the last 2 weeks, and if given the opportunity, he would love to address you, to address some of the concerns that were brought up during the public hearing, and he is here this evening.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I have 4 topics that I want to talk about today. One is VDOT, second is the floodplain, third is Army Corps of Engineers, and the fourth is the Department of Historical Preservation. So the first thing is I'm going to distribute the 7 documents for the VDOT rules and regulations for an interchange. Some of the concerns that were brought up were congestion, entrance requirement. One thing that we can say is we will meet all VDOT requirements, and we'll have the required 750 buffer that is required from an interchange. And if we decide to request for an exception, we've had conversations with Joshua Lewis from VDOT to get the appropriate step on how to actually file for an exception. Regarding the congestion, as you all are aware, we cannot start the project without meeting VDOT requirements, so we would have to solve and have a traffic study done. But I would like to emphasize the permit process that we're going through right now is step 1. This is the first step that we have to take before we go into the site planning process, before we go into any sort of permit, any other permits that we need to get. Next is regarding the floodplain. I'd like to pass this to the 7th Board of Supervisors as well. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Palmer has been in touch with FEMA over the last year for a letter of map amendment. We are 90% complete with that process and expect that it will be approved very soon by FEMA. George is already on top of this and started this process over a year ago because he knew that there would be land that would need to be filled and FEMA approval that would also be needed. This next is regarding Army Corps of Engineers. We understand that 6 acres of land is considered a wetland currently, and we will go through the appropriate channels to receive a permit to mitigate that. If a permit is not issued, the project will either be terminated or we will build the project around the 6 acres of wetland, as those would be our 2 options. Last is I would like to talk about the Department of Historic Preservation. Historic Resources. Sorry about that. So, as stated in there, the house is in very bad shape, and the structural engineer stated that it would take over $4 million to renovate that whole house. According to a letter from the House of Historic Resources, the owner of the property decides what happens to that house. In this email, Mike also states that he is very familiar with the property and the bad state it currently is in now. One thing I would also like to emphasize is the special use permit process is step 1 of this development. We're going to have to go through a separate permit process for VDOT and all the other, Army Corps of Engineers. But getting this permit from the Board of Supervisors is step 1, and the whole project is contingent upon this. After this, our next plan is to get a site plan done and share it to Clegg, even though that is not required. If you have any additional questions, we would be more than happy to answer those questions.
A site plan is required. Okay.
What type of,
ENS plan, site plan.
what type of time planning do you, theoretically, and I realize it's going to change a little bit, what's your timetable for this?
Yes, so a timetable. Something else I also want to address is we also got another fuel brand on board. So the fuel brands that I listed last time, it's not who we're talking to, it's who already approved their site and they're ready to come on site. Last week we had Circle K also join and they're ready to come on site. The timeline that we're looking to do is we're looking to start if everything, we get the permits that are possible in the timeline that we've created, we are looking to start this project later this year or first thing next year. And this is if, everything goes according to plan. But that's the timeline that we have as of now.
I have a question just for clarity purposes. So what we saw from the planning commission meeting was the entire site was covered in a truck stop. But based on a Circle K, Marathon, I see those as smaller, like gas stations, filling stations. Is the plan to have like a Love's travel center, or is it a gas station with truck parking, truck wash, restaurants? Like, I'm just trying to, I know it's a concept right now, but I just kind of want to get a better.
Yeah, so this project will be similar to the Loves and the Travel Association that you see, the TA, at the next exit after 39. That is our end goal. In phase 1, it'll be a much smaller gas station with around 100 trucks parking there. And in phase 2, it will be 500 trucks that will be parking in our facility. And it'll be restaurants, and we'll have restaurants. I think the ones I believe, the ones I stated last time were Wendy's. The ones I stated last time, they've already agreed to come on site and are ready to be there. We're still in touch with other large, fast food restaurants and sit-down restaurants to make sure that we have, we have adequate facilities for our citizens coming in from Smyth County and the traffic that's on Interstate 81.
So there's going to be a build-out process, but you're asking for the entire thing up front, so you don't have to come back and ask.
Exactly.
$250 every time you come and ask us to do something.
Yes, and in the site plan, that shows us the. Yeah, that shows us what our truck stop will look like when it is complete. I believe you, Mr. Michael, you had a question.
Yeah, so I asked you, you said the wetlands, you said you said you'd either build around them or, what was the other thing you said?
So if we don't get a permit, we would like to build around it. But, you know, just, I wanted to state all of the options that we have is to stop the truck stop project. But we are here wanting to complete this project. We're wanting to push forward with this, and, you know, get the permits that are required. And if they're not, we're trying to see what we can do to make this project work without the permit, and which is developing around those 6 acres.
I had a question. You mentioned you were gonna do a traffic study. Is that something you would perform or VDOT would perform for you?
So we have performed one traffic study already, but this is specifically for our travel center itself. If you remember, I gave you some numbers last time we were here regarding the tax revenue. That was based on a traffic study completed by a company outside of Virginia, Speed Data LLC. But a traffic study for the road would also need to be conducted, and we plan on conducting that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Do what?
You got your mic on, you got a question?
No.
You got your mic on, you might as well talk.
Well, you know, I think he's answered a lot of questions. You know, the concerns that I heard that night, are we at that point or you want me to shut up?
No, go ahead.
You know, the wetlands is one of them. The lady that spoke before said the Army Corps of Engineers list a permit, which we all know. They understand they have to get a permit with the Army Corps of Engineers. We don't regulate that. The Army Corps of Engineers regulate it. If you read their regulatory requirements, it's into any water, just not a wetland. This is just part of the sing and dance of building. There's nothing, you know, if they can't meet the permit, then it's not a special use permit's useless. You know, you heard about the mussels, same way, fish and game, in the water, Corps of Engineers. And I'm gonna go right down through this all because I can tell you right now, I can tell everybody in this room, I'm for this. You know, you go to the mussels, they're governed by the fish and game. You go to VDOT entrance. Let me tell you something. VDOT don't approve it, you don't get in. They don't care what Smyth County says. You go to the old house, there's a Palmer tear down tomorrow. Matter of fact, you think whatever you want of me, if I'd come here to got it permitted, it done been laying on the ground. We have no control of it. It don't come in this decision. And this is where you can go right on down the list of noise. You know, noise. I travel from the west coast to the east coast, showing dogs. Every time I pull in a truck stop because I got a trailer of horses and dogs. Let me tell you, with the new diesel engines, if you're sitting beside of them with your truck running, you cannot hear them. And you sure can't hear the one across the parking lot. I heard worried about spilling fuel and diesel. Let me tell you what, EPA regulates every bit of that. They're gonna be down these people's throat, just like they'll be down that feller's throat right back yonder. I mean, their risk is no more than the permit we just approved. He uses diesel fuel every day, his equipment's runs. If he has a spill, EPA is gonna be all over it, just like these people. What am I forgetting? I'm trying to address every complaint that comes here because I think it ought to be addressed. So somebody tell me what I'm.
Drugs and prostitution at the truck stop.
Well, you know, call Washington County Sheriff's Department. You know, the truck stop down there was a big issue coming in. I expected to see hundreds of people here over this permit. We seen 50. How many people live in both subdivisions? Maybe you can sit down now, I'm gonna talk.
So there's effectively 3 subdivisions in close proximity. The one on the side of the truck stop, 47 homes. So there's an approximation of 178 people there. If you go around the trade school, you've got the apartments over there. So 58 houses in the apartments. And then as you go down towards Chilhowie, there's 137 homes there.
All right, and that's not even counting how many people's in the North Fork district.
4,200.
So we had probably 50 people here tonight, I mean, that night, and I will take it in consideration, but when it comes all down to it, we don't regulate some things. This is, what'd you tell me to address?
Drugs and prostitution, we reached
Yeah,
out to
you
Washington
gotta
County.
help me out here. I called the Washington County Sheriff's Department. They have less calls to the truck stop than anyone. With County will tell you the same thing. They are not, a truck stop, in my younger days, was listed a bad thing. In discussion with Corey last night, it probably been better if we labeled this a travel center. You take a truck stop off of it and change the name, the whole idea of it changes. They're one of the safest places to pull in. I pull in them with 40 animals on a trailer and the horses, and I'm telling you, nothing goes on. It ain't like it used to, like you heard, drugs, prostitution. That don't happen. That's something that happened back when we all drank moonshine was rednecks. You know, when you get down to it, this is already zoned commercial. Already. They could put a gas station in as long as it hadn't been a truck stop, because some idiot in the ordinance committee said that we're gonna review truck stops, and I was that idiot. But, you know, it's commercial. I get that we don't wanna hear noise, but you're along I-81, we're gonna develop it. It's gonna get developed.
They don't leave them running down.
No, they cut them off and run heat vents through the window. You don't even hear the trucks.
They're not allowed to leave them running.
8 years, they're all gonna be electric.
Yeah, but you know, I think when somebody, I went through these, requirements to meet, and I think they've all been met. And I think the problem I have with zoning is, I think if you own a piece of property, you ought to be able to develop it. Now, this property was in AR or residential, I'd probably be saying, you're not gonna get it. You know, I got my support, but it's in commercial. It's a commercial piece of property. And I get worrying about the ducks and the, but now, that's not my worry when I lay down at night. These people get paid big money to worry, and these people got a long road ahead of them just to get a permit. I mean, they got months and months and months. You know, you talk, I believe in heroes, and the lady that probably lived in that house was a hero. But I don't live among the dead. Our heroes today are nurses, doctors, police officers, people who are truly out there with COVID getting something done. We gotta help them people. Income helps those people survive and live in Smyth County. We cannot turn our head away. And you go back to the planning commission, I was very disappointed that night. I sit here, while the planning commission met, because I wanted to hear the comments. Because what they do think, what anybody thinks, it means something to me. What the paper lady thinks, it means something to me. That opinion goes into my thinking. And I was disappointed because one of the comments I heard out of them was, Joel said that he would be more in favor if you done something to save the house. It just can't come in play because it's not a legal option. And if you want to go there with all rights, anything to do with the Civil War right now, I'd hate to put a dime in. And you can justify it or not justify it, but that's how I feel why that shouldn't have come in. The other one was, his only other comments was he'd be more in favor of going along with it if it was a Love's. Well, if I was ExxonMobil, I'd be suing Joe Pugh right now. You can't, we don't hold the seat here to say what business can come in and what can't. All we're here for is to say, you can move ahead and try to have your business, and I wish you the best luck in the world. I don't care what it says on that sign. I've stopped at a Lowe's, I've stopped at ExxonMobil, every one of them you can think of. And the fact, I hope it gets big. I hope you cover the whole property. I do. I hope everything's gone. That's one big thing. And I hope that it's bringing this county revenue where we can help our kids that stood before us tonight, where we can really help the heroes that are alive. I appreciate the heroes that are dead, but they're gone. So, you know, I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, the planning commission has a lot of weight on me tonight because I don't think they asked enough questions. I don't think her reasons for turning it down was right. And, you know, you get a room of 30, 40, 50 people in here and they're get emotional. You better be pretty tough to go the other way you feel to go. And I ain't saying they didn't go the way they say them to go. I'm saying I'm going to go on the comments they had, and I don't think they thought it through. And I think the board needs to do the right thing and vote on this tonight and move on. And I make a motion. Can I make a motion?
Yes, you may.
To approve the special use permit as long as you obtain all the required things to do, as long as you're building, constructing, operating, as long as it's in there. You gotta do that. That goes without saying. If you fail to do that, we're gonna pull your permit. You know, we like to see it going. And talking with the chairman, we'd like to see it done in 2 years. I don't think you can get it done in 2 years. But I will say this. Part of that is you go ahead and try to claim your other permits and get them going. Update us from time to time where you're at. You don't gonna have to come in here and fight. Just give us an update. Let us know you're okay. And proceed forward. Because we welcome you to Smyth County and we hope you do good. So that's my motion. I move to approve with an update on every now and then on the status. And ground needs to be broke within, at least broke if it permits. You know, you get into some of these permits, it could take a year. Am I right? You correct me if I'm wrong.
No, they could. Yep.
You know, that's my motion to approve based on they meet all requirements of state, local, and federal laws to own and operate and construct this.
I'm gonna say something. I know Mr. Palmer's got some perfect land there. I don't think anybody in this room, if they owned that property, would not want to see it developed the way we can do it. This county needs it. Washington County's got 2. Whipple's got 1. Bland just put 1 in. One of the best things that ever happened to Bland County. I feel sorry for them though, because they're gonna have to jump through every one of them hoops this lady right up here said. And you got a long road ahead of you. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna find something when they go to digging in that field. I've collected Indian relics for years, and they're gonna find something, so.
But if
be
they do,
prepared.
it's governed. It's governed.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do the proper thing with it. I've worked with all these agencies you're talking about for years, and they do make you cross your T's. But I'll second his motion on it, and good luck to you.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
I'd like to make a statement.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Chairman. There has been several people I've spoke with in reference to this, and I have to say I represent the Royal Oak District, and the majority, the overwhelming majority of the people that I have talked to or has contacted me has been in favor of this. And honestly, it was a surprise. I really didn't expect that. There was some question with some people at some points. I think in some of the things I've read and some comments that were made, that there was questioning about the zoning. People were thinking that this property was having to be zoned differently. And I think there was some confusion, just so I can clear that up, with Mr. McClellan's property that he was filing for on his permit. One of the reasons that I'm here in the seat that I'm in, the reason I wanted to do this is I wanted to help this county move forward. I also want to be a voice for the citizens in my district, and for the longest time all I had heard was this county doesn't let anything come in here. We run everything off. And I've seen that through the years. We've had some good companies come in here, but in order to move forward, I have 3 young children, and I'm not saying that a truck stop or a travel center is gonna keep them here. But it might be the one little thing that sparks something to help this area grow a little bit. Personally, I'm not even concerned about the money coming right now, as much as, from what I'm hearing from everybody, is growth. This area needs growth. So, you know, I've lost a lot of sleep on this, and I'll be honest with you, I've worried to death about this. I'd be lying if I said I didn't, and I think whoever's up here, they should. That's our responsibility, to make sure when we make these decisions that everything's taken into consideration. And at this point, I'll tell you too, I'm 100% on board with this, and I hope that if you can get the permits and everything, that you can move this forward and hopefully look at expanding, you know, as far as other businesses or something else in this area. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take a minute. I think it's important for all of us to speak and share our feedback from what we've heard from our constituents. And like Mr. Widener said, you know, we don't just serve 1 or 2 people in our district. We serve the 42 to 4,500 people that are in the 7 districts of this county. And I've heard yeses and I've heard no's, but it's been a resounding yes from my constituents. They want to see growth, and again, they even pointed out we've always turned things away and never given anything an opportunity. And you know, I'm a firm believer that if the buck stops with us, can't move on. Well, there's 18 other permits that have to be done by people that are way above our pay grades and know all the specific details. So I like the way you worded the motion of if those permits are obtained, then this can move forward. I too ran on this board for growth. I didn't run to turn around and stop everything. I do think the permitting processes are important to know what's going to work and what's not, and what needs to be allowed. But I don't think we should overstep our bounds on EPA or whatever organizations are out there that are there for those purposes. So I did want to share just a couple comments I received from constituents. Most of them said, you know, if there's a way to do both, do the truck stop, keep the house, build around it, use it as a restaurant. And then other folks have said it's their property, they can do what they want to with it, shouldn't regulate that. And then I've had others that said this would enhance our tax base and help with things like public